Officials here would like to publicly speak to you guys. First one who's going to speak is Rob Whitman, Congressman Rob Whitman. And then second one that's going to speak is Qasim Rashid. And he's running for congressman in the 1st District next term. So,
wait, let Mr. Rashid talk first. Go ahead. Please go ahead. That's it.
Go on, Rob. Come on
Thank you all for being here. Deeply grateful. My name is Qasim Rashid. I'm a human rights lawyer, and I'm the Democratic candidate for Congress here in Virginia's 1st District. Woo! What I want to talk to you about today are a couple of key elements. In addition to this key component of why we're here, that Black Lives Matter, I want to address this issue of police brutality. I want to address this issue of the systemic problems within our criminal justice system, within our economic system. You see, there's a belief out there that these systems were designed to protect all communities and they're simply breaking down. And that's not only a dangerous and wrong belief, but it prevents actual reform. There's a belief out there by saying Black Lives Matter, you somehow don't believe all lives matter. And the fundamental problem with that is that it ignores what Black Lives Matter actually means. There's a belief out there that we can resolve police brutality without acknowledging the existence of police brutality. You cannot solve a disease unless you call it out in the first place. Because acknowledging police brutality does not mean you're anti-police. It means you're pro-justice. That's right. Now I see a lot of young folks in the crowd today. And oftentimes we look at these icons in our history, like Dr. Martin Luther King, Claudette Colvin, Robert Smalls, Ruby Bridges, and we see these juggernauts, as we should, but what we forget is how old they were when they changed world history. Dr. King was only 26 years old when he was president of the Montgomery bus boycott. 26. Who here has heard of Robert Smalls? Robert Smalls was 23 years old, a black man born into slavery. At 23, he escaped slavery, but he didn't stop there. He commandeered a Confederate vessel, a ship, but he didn't stop there. He quickly learned the secret codes and helped escape into Union waters, but he didn't stop there. He then used that ship to fight against the Confederates and helped win the Civil War at 23, but he didn't stop there. He went on to become one of the first black members of Congress in U.S. history. Claudette Colvin, who's heard of Claudette Colvin? Who's heard of Rosa Parks? 9 months before Rosa Parks, Claudette Colvin at 15 years old was arrested on a bus, protesting, having to get up because a white man wanted to take her seat. 15 years old, she made history. Who's heard of Ruby Bridges? Ruby Bridges was 6 years old, a young black child who desegregated an all-white school. She made history. And the reason I'm sharing all this with you is because I'm an immigrant to this country. I was born in Pakistan. My family migrated here, escaping religious persecution, escaping religious violence. We pursued what many consider cliche, the American dream, but it was very real to us. It was very real to us because we sought religious freedom and religious equality. We came to a new country with a new land, a new culture, a new language. It would have been easy for us to sit on the wayside and say, we made it, that's enough. You know, my parents are teachers, and education is at the core of everything they do. And they made sure that we were immersed in our communities. They said, your job, your purpose is to serve all humanity, serve your fellow Americans like they're your own flesh and blood. Now, for me to stand up here and say that things were easy would also be inaccurate. Things were tough. I remember living in a roach-infested Section 8 apartment. I remember relying on food stamps to make sure we had enough to get by. I remember working since I was 15 years old to make sure that we could pay rent. But out of that struggle, a great deal of good has come as well. And that good came because of the blessings that this country affords all people. Today, my younger siblings are successful in the business world. My older brother is a U.S. Marine veteran who served honorably, and I'm a human rights lawyer. And my journey to human rights law really came from understanding the struggle of these civil rights icons that we're talking about today, that we're celebrating today. And as a human rights lawyer, I've been blessed and fortunate to serve communities around this country and around this Commonwealth. I support women who are survivors of domestic and sexual violence. I combat prison incarceration and police brutality. I work with children from lower income communities to get health care and education access. But eventually I came to a point, you realize as an advocate, you can help one person or one community at a time, but as a policymaker, you can fix the broken legislation that's harming the entire Commonwealth, the entire community at once. And so, when it came time to run for office, I did what I think any self-respecting man would do. I went to my wife and I asked her permission to let me run for office.
That's right.
And my wife, Aisha, a small business owner who works on climate justice issues, she graciously gave her blessing. And the reason why I'm running for office is because I believe that we need to have representatives reflective of the needs of our communities. We need to have representatives that aren't bought by corporations but are funded by the people. And my commitment, my promise to you is to serve you because I've been down that path before. I didn't share my sob story from earlier to make you feel sorry for me. I share it because as I look at society right now, Americans today are worse off than they were 25 years ago. Mass incarceration has devastated our black and brown communities. The drug war has devastated our lower income communities. Wealth and income inequality is worse today than it's ever been in 70 years since the Great Depression. We must do better. Now, I believe Black Lives Matter. Who's with me? Do Black Lives Matter?
Black Lives Matter.
I believe that if you oppose police brutality, you don't oppose police. You simply want better police. Who's with me? I believe that we cannot repair a system that was never meant to protect all communities. We must revise a system built on justice. Who's with me? So I ask for your vote on June 23rd. I ask for your vote on November 3rd. The last thing before I go, Congressman Whitman and I differ a lot on politics. We should. We're Republicans and Democrats. We differ. But one thing that I think we can agree upon are human rights issues. And so today I ask Congresswoman Whitman, with all due respect, stand with us and affirm Black Lives Matter. Stand with us and affirm the reality of police brutality. Stand with us and affirm that we have a broken system that needs to be repaired because it was never meant to protect black and brown communities. So I hope in your remarks you will lead by saying Black Lives Matter. You will lead by saying you condemn police brutality. You will lead by saying that you'll work to fix this system that marginalizes black and brown communities. Do we have your promise? Yes, sir. Do we have your promise? Black Lives Matter? You heard him say it. Black Lives Matter. Thank you. I'd love to have you come up here and say it with us, and then I'll step down. You know, and this is a real issue. Mitt Romney said Black Lives Matter, and the president mocked him. And what that tells me is that he's not looking for a peaceful protest. He's looking to reject that racism even exists, and that's a problem. I'm glad that Congressman will come up and stand up with us and affirm to all of us that Black Lives Matter.
I'll give my remarks, and then we can talk after.
Hey, this is a campaign, man. Come on. This isn't a campaign.
I know, I'm just asking. That's what I'm saying. It's not politics. It's Black Lives Matter.
I gave you respect for you to give your remarks. I'm going to come up here and give my remarks.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
God bless you.